Hello, everyone. Welcome to chaichat&community. Just one more day before we can have our share of freedom. Yes, I'm speaking from Melbourne, and in just one day, 24 hours, you can go out of 9 p.m. as we, the city where it was the world's most livable city, land up to a little unfortunate where from most livable city we went to most lockdown cursed city. But anyway, let's jump to the store. As you all know, I'm Anjali, and if you not know, let me introduce myself before I could introduce to the show and my little speaker. So I'm Anjali Duas, recently graduated from the University of Melbourne. I'm currently work as a marketing coordinator in one of the digital marketing agency. And as we moved on to the next year of a life, I would like to acknowledge the opportunity that came across to be a part of this newfangled live discussion with Janvi in today's chat show. So many of us have been forced to have a very tough period in Australia as coming as international student, and it has been no surprise that international students are often at risk of developing all kinds of issues or problems, I would say, whether it's about mental health or whether it's about our emotional health due to acculturation or even loneliness. So since we see the borders opening up soon, the infusion of international students coming in the talk show is for them. A very former international student herself, Janvi, and myself will be sharing series of stories on challenges that the student face. In the podcast, we will share all talks on our stories, our personal anecdotes, and how we tend to seek support through our major changes in living in Australia. So before I could speak more, let us have Janvi on board and let us see what she has to deduce to herself.
Right. Thank you so much, Anjali. And I completely agree. I can't wait for the lockdown to end and I guess just catch up with all my friends. I've been locked up in the house for a very long time. But just to introduce myself, so I've finished my bachelor's in psychology with honors last year in December 2020. And since then, so I think during my bachelor's, I was very focused on community and just volunteering in that space. And over the period, I realized that I am interested in helping people like me. Migrants like me who experience these challenges, and that's where I'm sort of aiming in terms of my passion. So that's why I started the Shore Project podcast, which is, I run it with Anushka, and we essentially talk about migrant challenges and how to overcome them and to just, normalize the struggle. And apart from that, since I've finished, studied psychology, my aim is also to start work in the mental health sector and essentially grow in that as a profession. So, yeah, that's about me.
Perfect. So one thing that Janvi did share with me personally is about she has always volunteered for youth focused organization, and this is
Mm,
why we today have her,
mm,
since she's also co-founder of the Show Project podcast, where we will be talking about how it is okay to share struggles. Like even if we are
mm,
international student, I
mm.
know how dreams we always come when we come to this land. I know how overwhelmed we can get with all the different challenges or the different experience that we're yet to see. But that's all right. We need to also have our share of struggles. So let's have your share of struggles reduced after you listen to ours. So let us have this round of conversation where we'll be talking about how our experience had been in Australia. So maybe starting from Janvi,
Mm.
maybe you could share about how has Australia been to you.
Um, it's been great. I think I've had a lot to learn as well. So I guess that balances out. But if I have to explain Australia in three words, then I think it has made me independent, and it has made me find my identity in a way that I think it's just great. I think it's a blessing with all the challenges that I've faced. I mean, we'll unpack that, of course, further along the chat. But yeah, that's how, if I have to answer it in one statement, it's made me independent, and that was the goal of coming here and living in a foreign country. So achieved it so far.
Totally agree that. So for me, I feel Australia has given me my first ever. So I
Mm.
never had to have go to any bank or maybe electricity board or even check or how the bills work. But
Back in
even if
India.
yes, back in
Yeah.
India, but in
Yeah.
Australia, it was the first time I had a debit card on my name. It was such a proud
Mm.
moment. Like, how did I even go there when I only knew about SBI in India? So it was
Mm.
also the first time I realized how the leasing works, and it was also the first time I had a very bad meltdown on how everything had stuck into my plate. Everything that my father and mother used to do is all I'm doing it now, and I feel this is also the land that had made me respect of my culture, because the fact that I had been so much exchanged with all the festivities that we used to do, and now we don't do it over here. But it has also made me respect my parents, how they had been managing all of us, like me and my brother especially, with
Mm.
always a smiling face. And looking at me 2 years back, I know I would be crying for managing my cooking, education, housing, finance. So I know it. I do understand how you said about the roller
Mm.
coaster ride, but
Mm.
nevertheless, we learn through it. Nevertheless, we get past to it. So I think that is what made my journey a very great one.
Interesting
So,
one. Yeah.
so tell me, if you were satisfied with all the online education or delivery system, and what were the hands-on experience you expected out from the university, since we were the ones who came as to come for an offline education but landed up having an online one.
Right. So I that's not entirely true for me. So I came here when I was in 27. I came here in 2017. So when I was 18, and that time we had on campus. So essentially, I was on campus for 3 years, and then 2020, which is when lockdown hit. That's when I was doing my honors. That time I was online. Now, I'm more of I guess I really like to go and learn in class, but I know a few of my friends they love studying online. So I think it's see I think I have to really say that the universities adapted so well, so quickly to the online structure. And I'll give you my experience in terms of on campus and online. So on campus was, just let's say I have class let's have a class today at 11 a.m. I was living in a university dorm, which was 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes walk
Mhm.
um, to my university. So I would just wake up, make my breakfast, pack some lunch, because sometimes I would go to uni, attend my class, and sit in the library and study. And I think that's one thing I really love to do, is sitting in the library and studying, because you have so much resources, so many resources online, and just books. And apart from that, also just you meet people, you network with people, and also like in the library there are different types of, sometimes the events going on, or sometimes there's some
Mm.
career hub, career event. So I really enjoyed that. But that was my day. Sometimes I would have work, so I finish uni, like do a couple of my assignments, and then just directly go to work from there. But online, it was they had scheduled classes as well. It was a bit different, but because I was doing my honors, so it didn't really, I guess, affect me so much, because it
Mm.
essentially was just writing a lot of words for my thesis, and just doing online classes. I really liked the part where online classes was, we had a smaller cohort for my honor. So I think it would be different for different classes, but we had a smaller cohort. So we really knew each other. And because we were struggling online as well, so we had like a very special bond, which I feel would have been different if we were on campus for honors, because, usually after class, you just disperse. So that was my experience. But I think online provided a lot of flexibility,
Mm.
and it helped me. If you're an organized person, that it's really good if you know you can really organize your day. Some people are not, so some people slag off, but this is what I found. Like on campus, it's like you get to meet a lot of people, and sometimes it's it's a new exciting thing. And when you're online, it's very focused, and I think it helps you stay focused on studying is a lot. So I think that's the difference. But what about you?
So I came in 2019, where 2019 was the year of hopes,
Yeah.
aspirations, and that was third time. I think I was the last batch who had seen the offline structure, because
Mm,
after that, people who came after maybe July 2019, they never experienced one. So it was amazing for me, because for
mm,
me, university was not only just a maybe a temple of where I would go for any education, but was also my second home. So I remember having all kinds of like 3 meals in the university itself. We would have a huge, massive ground. We would have a lot of beautiful cafes inside the uni itself,
yeah.
and it would be really fun to just bump off to someone you know don't know. So it was more of the interaction, more of the practical learning, and it was a good chance for us to upskills ourselves, whether it's about communication, soft skills, or even how you present yourself. So that was great for me. So I realized how in the first semester I was the one lying at 8.3 vam. So vam is where it's just like a cgpa or percentage in India.
A GPA, yeah.
Yes, GPA, that is. So, but the second semester, how it transitioned to online, I was all off. Like I was all over the place. I was so stumbled. I was struggling to really understand how to just focus, just lying on the screen. Um, and I was not never a screen person. So, and after the second semester, after the first online mode, I realized how my grade fell off from 8.3 to 7.2, and my parents were just checking on me if everything was right. But I realized how everyone takes their own share of time, own share of evolution. So it was my period of not revolting but getting to the fact that you need to evolve through it. So university was great, as to what you said, Janvi. I feel the one thing that we are very proud of is how university has tackled all this online issue.
Yeah, definitely.
We never had any technical glitch. Our professors were so supportive, whether it's about grades or whether it's about giving you the same experience of had it been in that in class experience one. So everything
Mm.
was great on that end, but you'll always find, like, you'll never be satisfied completely. So that's what I think I have to say. But what about networking? Like, did you had an opportunity of online networking?
Oh, of course. Actually, that's one thing. It took me some time to actually evolve. Actually, not evolve. I guess adapt. So we started off right. So initially, when we were on campus, it was a lot of networking. Like you mentioned, you bump into somebody. I was part of different clubs. I was part of different groups, and then suddenly online, everything. Like the networking really stopped, and you know
Yes,
what,
yes.
you wouldn't believe it. Actually, I've never really reflected on this before, but this is something, it just hit me that before the lockdown, I was not really active on LinkedIn. And as soon as there was online stuff,
Mm.
I was really active on LinkedIn, and that really helped me because when I reflect that in hindsight, yeah, that did. It was just another world, and I realized that was actually bigger than the one I was outside, because with a click of a button and search, I could find anybody, not only in on my campus, but actually, let's say in America or even in Canberra. So that's the magic of what I found out online. Even when I was I mean, at home, I did networking. I was even volunteering for a couple of organizations.
Mm.
So I was doing content writing, and that's when I entered into content
Mm.
writing and speaking. And yeah,
Right,
so I
right,
think
right,
that's,
right.
that's in a nutshell. What about you?
So, before I could answer this one, there was this a very amazing question that has come from one of a viewer who was asking how helpful was the university during the transition to virtual learning throughout
Hmm.
2020. I think
Hmm.
as I touched upon, I think the University of Melbourne, the uni that I did my master's from, they were
Mm,
very, very quick, like very agile and
yeah.
adaptable. So I realized how they had taken a 1 week off from the teaching period to just organize what happened. They realized how their professors might not be technical savvy, or they might not be have a good sound understanding of how things would work in Zoom, and especially how Zoom had happened. So no one had heard about Zoom before. It was all Skype. So after a
Mm,
1 week bank, it was amazing. So everything happened very smoothly because after that, no professors took off. Like they were not jumped out of the Zoom, because it used to be
mm.
very embarrassing how we were having a lecture and again there would be no professor because he just jumped out.
Dropped
So
out. Yeah.
there was a good support from the technical sub team. And then you
Mm,
can whether it's about the examination too. I remember how having a lot of technical support if you drop out of your during your exam
yeah.
hours, and how you'll be given extra hours for that.
Mm,
But more than that, I realized how the community in University of Melbourne, or the different clubs, had taken they were the partisans of organizing various online events just to break the ice, just to make us more comfortable, having a very balance between what you're studying to what you could have been studying. So it was
mm.
great on my end. What about you, Janvi?
I think it was similar. And I think one thing I would really like to add on is that when lockdown hit, the university was trying to adapt to a new system of essentially education, literally, and teaching. But the best part is now they have adapted quite well. And I think now I don't think any university really has any trouble in teaching online or on campus. So I think for the new batch who's going to come as international students, it's
Yes.
going to be amazing. Like I think we touched upon this even before. I think we were having a conversation before that. The hybrid version, I think that's what they will get, and that would be flexible, and I think that would be interesting. So if you're an international student like planning to come or worried how it's going to be online, like I think it would be good because I think the universities have adapted really well and they have the resources, and they have everything that they should have off campus. I wouldn't say everything, but most of the thing they've tried to bring online. So it's just a matter of whether you can find it or not, because that's one thing that I think is when you're off campus you see it. Like let's say there's an event going on, or let's say there's some sort of networking event going on. You
Mhm.
see it, like there's flyers on the pin board. But when you're online, you don't see that. So I think that's an effort that you would have to make from your end. Is like if you really want to network and if you really want to get out there, then you probably would have to search a bit more. But that's fine. I mean, everything has pros and cons. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think
So on
that
that note,
yeah.
yes, on that note, what do you think? What about social skills? Do you think it must have had a toll on our development on social arena, like our development on communication, or maybe anything? Like I feel, especially for me, I
Mm,
realized how while we were doing an online studies and everything, I really did not get to meet who my classmates were in person.
yeah.
And after the moment, there was a time where there was no lockdown, and that could be a time where we the team members or the group meetings could have happened offline, but
Mm,
everyone chose to make it online, because first I realized how people were taking everything so laxly, and second, what I realized was there was a level of social anxiety that kicked off. Like
mm,
people really did not want to um, go through after what had happened to them in a year.
yeah.
Like in a year, they had taken things so slow that they really do not want to come out of their comfort zone.
Mm. Yeah, I agree to that, and I also think social skills definitely take a toll when you're sitting online in front of the camera. And let's say, for example, for the past 2 years, I mean, it's nearly 2 years now. I've been on screen, and there's a part of me which I feel like is just so used to it. I think it's not really. It's not even about so much about comfort. It's like I'm so used to it. Like that's all I know now. It feels like that. But the thing is, and that's the thing about adaptability. I feel that once we are back outside, it would not take us long to get back and at least, socialize again, because of course we're social creatures, and that's what we've
Yes.
known for a lot of, yeah, a huge part of our life. So it does take a part, it does affect you. Definitely wouldn't deny that, but it doesn't mean you can't bounce back and you can't get out there and actually again socialize. And of course you start with your close friends, you don't have to straight away go and really go out and hang out with strangers. So slowly with your close friends, family members, and then you can get back to your outer community. So I think that's one way
Yeah.
of really tackling, and that's how I plan to, because I'm nervous as well, but that's how I plan to tackle my social anxiety and my getting the outside my comfort and getting outside that online world, really.
Right. So what I have realized is, in order to not be hard on myself, I should be
Mm,
very, very careful on giving myself the time. So
mm,
being an extrovert person gives me a good hard on experience of
mm,
being the first one going out. But
mm,
that's all right if on Friday I don't want to go out. On Friday, if I do not want to hit any club, that's all right, because maybe I would want to give myself a time till the time I might not be internally ready. And I'm sure I would be ready. It's just a matter of time, as what you said, Janvi. Great on
mm.
that.
Yeah.
But so since we are already there, so what do you think? So for students coming maybe in the last quarter or maybe the first quarter of 2022, what would be the biggest advice you would want them to come with, like from your personal experience?
Mhm. Oh, that's a lot. I think I'll have a few of them. So, number one, so let's categorize into, no, I wouldn't call it philosophical, but lived experience and actually technical stuff. So I'll start with technical thing, right? So if you go to a new place, what do you need? You need your shelter, you need your accommodation, you need your food, you need money, and you need a social support, right? So in terms of accommodation, I would say that when you're that's what I did. At least I booked my accommodation for 1 year at a university dorm. If it's, because I planned to live there for 1 year because I was very young, but it's different for everybody. So I would suggest that make sure that you have at least your 3 to 4 months accommodation decided when you come here, because you're coming to a completely new world. A lot of people have family, friends, a lot of people have extended family who live here, a lot of people just have some friends who live here. So then it's easier for them, but I had nobody. So if you have nobody, then it's good to plan ahead. And in India, and even online now, you can find it online, but in India they have those career counselors. They really help you with that as well, based on what even universities help you. So if you want to just investigate that a little bit and have that peace of mind. The second is food, and I actually did a podcast episode about this, is what exactly, what should you know when you come here? Like, do I need to know all the cooking skills? I don't think you do. And I used to think like cooking is so hard, like how does my mom do it? I think it's not really about cooking, it's really about organizing. How I realized that literally boiling some rice with some easy dal doesn't take more than half an hour, right? Like that's
Yes.
what making a chicken salad doesn't take more than 20 minutes. You just have your salad leaves, you just have your chopped vegetables, and you're ready to go. It doesn't take a lot of time, and you don't have to be a cook when you come here. You have to take it slow, because what happens is when you come here, you tend to spend, firstly you're on a budget, secondly if you're eating outside it's not healthy, and then on top of that you're spending, right? And when you come here, initially you just convert everything from rupees to dollar and dollars to rupees, and that
Yes.
becomes overwhelming, right? And then you're like, oh, should I eat this? Oh no, oh my god, I should have cooked. So really having that figured out. And grocery shopping here, as I guess, as it doesn't sound very important, but it is a very fun and exciting discovery when you go, because here we just have supermarkets and it's really really convenient. It's very easy. You get every type of Indian food here. There's so many Indian stores here, so you do not have to worry about anything. Just know like at least five easy quick recipes. Ask your mom or your dad or anybody who can help you of like how to do it. Maybe write it on a piece of paper, whatever, and just have it like at least for the first 1 month. And once you get hang of it, you're good to go.
Yes.
Then
Perfect.
in terms of like finding jobs, because when I came here, I think, I don't know if you would relate to this, Anjali, but you have a lot of pressure because everybody around you is working. whether international or not international, they're just working. They have part-time jobs, some people have full-time jobs. And if you're like this new international person who's been international student who is just studying and has no job, that doesn't mean you're lagging behind. It's just you're adapting and you're settling in. So give yourself that space, and give yourselves that time. Like, have a target. Like, within 6 months, I'll find. It takes time to network. It takes time to meet new people. It takes time to adapt. I did this when I came here. It's like, I don't have a job, and I was stressed about it, and I would completely like forget my focus on studies. So I think that's one thing that you should remember, that it's okay not to have a job. A lot of times you see international students around you, meet people who have been here for 3 years, 4 years, and that's why they know the lingo, they know the way how it works. And then, so this is somewhat technical, I guess, lived experience advice. And in terms of, just mindset, or I would say, yeah, like, what I have learned from living here for 4 years is that, first, things take time. Secondly, it's okay not to really know everything, and it's okay not to fit in every group that you possibly meet, even if they're Indians. It really doesn't mean that every Indian person should be your friend here, because we put that pressure on when we're new here. It's no, you have to find people who you feel comfortable with. You have to find people who you feel safe with. You have to find people who you can trust and be vulnerable with. And I'm talking about every type of relationship, like, friendship, romantic relationship, family, friends, everybody. So that's one thing that I've learned by making a lot of mistakes, but I have learned it. And another thing is, like, if you think you want to go and try something new that is maybe not even related to your field, like, let's say you've come, like, you're studying marketing, but let's say you like to study a business, then you should go and try it out. Like, I have a psychology background, but I was interested in business, so I went and I tried out some business setting up and commerce, sort of found a nice little volunteering thing and learned a bit about that. That's how I got into youth work. So experiment with things you enjoy, and they're very accessible here, and everything is, and you can find it online. So these are my, I guess, what do you call, not advice, but more like, yeah, like some experiences and some lessons that I've learned. What about you?
So, what advice that I think I should be giving? Again, there is no philosophical or something that's coming or stemming from my own experience. Is, first, you touched upon accommodation. What I realized was I never went on those pre-onboarding journeys or orientation day, that orientation event that happened in India itself from the university in Australia. So that's very crucial. I would say that I
Yeah.
really mishandled my time, and I did not also know about them. So had I known about them, I think I would be more confident, and I would have little stomach pangs than I had when I was coming down. So those onboarding journeys or events would really tell you what university expects you to be, how things are over here and there. They would really give you a slight or sludge of experience of how your daily life would look like. And I think
Mm.
that's what boosts your confidence, because the more
Yeah.
blurred you get, or the more blur you
Yeah.
have about your future or your vision, the more
Yeah.
anxious you are before coming here. So
Yeah.
it's always good to contact the university, contact that migration agent that might have helped you to figure out when is that event. And you get to also meet a lot of people
People.
from your city itself who are pursuing
Yeah.
the same course, and that's how you get to have friends before you're all alone over here.
That's
And
a
what I
great tip. That's a great one, honestly.
also realized was the expectation part. So
Mm.
I was always a high achiever, and I think I had put a lot of expectation, and not to that it was not coming from my parents. It really did not came from them. It was on my internal expectation that how education happened in India, it would also happen in Australia.
Yeah.
So do you see how in India we run for marks? So anything that will
Mm.
get you marks, you'll be there. But
Mm.
then I had the same philosophy, I had the same mindset of coming here, studying in university, and getting good marks. So I remember how my
Mm.
first semester just went on
Yeah.
studying on those four subjects that had I had no escape from nothing whatsoever. I did not really go through networking. I really did not meet new people. I really did not enjoy anything, whether it's about community, volunteering, or anything. So, one great advice would be always balance what you're doing. I would not say be an extremist in partying or be an extremist in studying. Australia, especially the university, is not about marks. It's about what knowledge you gain. So no one really cares about how much you got, whether it's about an H1 or even it's about just passing through the bridge. So, and one more thing that I think would be really useful is about the culture shock. So I was the one who had never never went to any of the country except our neighboring ones, and Australia was the longest route I had traveled. So what I realized was, not being in this country, I was wanting to imitate or maybe behave like people over here in this land. And
Mm.
one thing that I would always tell people is, in the humdrum or in the mayhem of trying to accepting a new culture, just do not forget yourself. So I think there's a great difference between Australia and US. How US is about melting pot, Australia is not about that. Like, they really care, love, and encourage if you have your individuality. You don't have to
Yeah.
fit yourself into any of the box. I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
would
what.
actually just, yeah, I was just like to so there's a question here. So do you believe volunteering is an important route towards job opportunity? Yes, I think I believe in that. And I think so volunteering has few benefits. One of them is definitely it helps you, go towards your dream job or the job that you would want to work in a way that it at least helps you know where you don't want to work. So that's the best part about volunteering, is that it's not like, you can experiment with it. You can, like, today, you feel like, oh, you know what, actually I am studying business, but I think I might even like, let's say, design. Let me look where I can volunteer as some sort of graphic designer, and maybe you don't like it, but what if you do? So there's like, that's the benefit of volunteering, I think. And I was really lucky to have my first uni professor, my first unit, saying she actually encouraged all of us to volunteer. And I'd never heard of that term before before I came here. I never had that concept of volunteering. And my thought was like, am I going to be doing that for like no money and wasting my time? And then when I started it, I was like, wait a minute, this is actually more interesting than I thought. And it actually helped me meet so many people, and it took me where I was supposed to end up, and it helped me navigate towards I guess, my niche. So that's what helps. So yeah, definitely volunteering would help you in probably landing a job.
Perfect, right. I would say that for volunteering, pick a cause that you really love about. Find an organization that care about that cause, get inside it without seeing, and
Yeah.
then you'll never realize if it had been a paid one or an unpaid one. All you care about is how do you want to mesh your skills in putting up for that organization, and how you can make that cause a greater cause for a great impact. And on that
Yeah.
note, we also have one more question of related to related to voluntary organization itself, about if we believe volunteering that does not offer paid opportunities is something international students should pursue. I think that's a
Yeah.
very good opportunity.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's a
Definitely.
great question as well, because I have seen so many people getting flux about going for that opportunity that really would not pay you, and you do not see your future in it, or not doing anything at all. So, what do you have to say, Janvi? And then I can share my views.
I think, yeah, I think you should take up. But you know what? That doesn't mean you take up every volunteering opportunity that you get. There also you have to be choosy. But literally, like you just highlighted before, if you're interested in it, if you like the organization, looks good, then just give it a shot. What if you don't like it? Okay, cool. Try some new organization. But if you do, then probably there's growth in that organization. I've had experiences where I've had opportunity to grow just by volunteering, and not maybe in that organization, but those people have helped me really, network with some of their friends or their partners, and that's how I got into volunteering and different organizations. And one trick that I used when I was in my bachelor's was, most of the courses here, at least my course, had this placement opportunity. So in your third year, you do placement, right? So you have that. So I was doing a bachelor's, so not master's, maybe even in master's, but in bachelor's we had that. So I did my placement, and what I did is I made really, really great connection with my placement coordinator. So she was a really great lady, and I kind of learned a lot from her. So what happened that way, that because of that connection, even if now after graduating, even if I sometimes want a volunteering opportunity, she helps me because she is the placement coordinator of my course. So she really helps me connect with people because she always has new opportunities coming in. So that's what really helped me, and that's how I actually landed 3 volunteering opportunities. By at least, like, just shooting her an email, hey, I'm looking for volunteering opportunities, do you have any in mind? So she's just like, yeah, yeah, here's some few, if you want to, just shoot them an email and see how it goes. And that works. So that's a little little advice as well. There
Yeah,
you go.
that was a great advice, I would say,
Yeah.
Janvi. So I would say that volunteering really played a great role in my journey. It's because, first of all, in India, we would consider volunteering as something like we would not really push ourselves till the time we would want to consider or would want to go for a noble cause. But in Australia, trust me on that, volunteering opportunities or volunteering experiences is as good like they are as good as having a paid experience. So even if you're working somewhere that's not paying you or even paying you partially, all you care, like all the companies or hiring manager care about is what
You're
you're getting
volunteering.
from the organization, like in
Yeah.
terms of
What skills?
your skills, in terms of your commitment. So I remember having one of the interviews in the similar arena, marketing itself, and I had to give them one of the examples about my customer service or about my vision of how I see the customer flow. And all I had to give was a real life example, and I was able to draw it very quickly because I would volunteer at Khalsa organization. So the fact that I drew up an incident from a volunteering organization, that was as good as had I been drawing it from an even a better one than had I been giving an example from maybe a part-time marketing job. So
Mm,
one thing that isn't a very understatement over here is that how you should prefer the paid work than unpaid one. But what I would always say is that never consider any opportunity based on if they are paying you or not. Till the time that's what your consideration is. Always
yeah.
see what the organization can give back to you and what you can give to the organization. And that mesh up and that mingled really will help you as a stepping stone in the life.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I think it also shows you're determined and you want to experiment and you're willing to learn. And especially, and money is not really an incentive. I guess that attitude, I think employers really value. That you have that experience, that you wanted
yes.
to push yourself.
Right. So, what do you think? Since we are touching on the student life aspect, how are you living through your 3 years in Australia? And do you think unidorms like can be expensive? And what are the alternatives if students who would not want to invest so much in their rent, that too on a starting age?
Mm. Um, so I like to live. When I came here, I was staying in Unidom, and I enjoyed it because first it offered me the security. It was expensive, but I actually made peace with that. That it's expensive for my safety. But the thing is, it wasn't really about safety. It was just me getting comfortable. Some people adapt faster. It took me longer to adapt. In terms of just trusting people and living with them. So my second year I was living in a share house, and my experience personally was not great because I did not have that awareness of really choosing my friends properly that time. Of course, you grow and you learn from your mistakes. But otherwise, if you find a great bunch of people and you trust them and you're safe with them and you feel like you can just spend some time with them, because what happens is when you are a university student, imagine you go to university, you are working, if you're maybe you're volunteering, you have a social life, and when you come home, you want to come home to people who you trust. You want to come home to people who you don't have a beef with. You don't want to come home to people who you don't want to see their face, or there's this negative energy, because that really affects you. That affected me, and I would really, really suggest that if that happens, then please don't spend time, like you find new people, like move out. But of course, sometimes there are obligations and sometimes there are financial constraints, so it's not always idealistic. But that's what the my opinion would be on that. But there are a few options, like one of them is flatmates. I met few people through my university dorm, then we made a group and we moved. Then also on Facebook, sometimes you meet people in university, and then you can just move in with them and just have a shared house. So shared house, what is a shared house? Shared house is like you live with 4 5 people. Sometimes you share a bedroom with them, like but sometimes you just share the house with them, like you have different rooms, and you have a shared kitchen and a bathroom. It is cheaper. It has its pros and cons, of course, but that's my advice. And there was a part in which it said safe, especially for girls. And like I just mentioned before, I think just be cautious, and of who you live with, because that really matters. Sometimes you also live with strangers. I know people who just live with complete strangers, and they literally don't talk to each other. They just go to their room, and that's it. So you just have to be cautious. I guess that's about it for me. What about you?
So I think so it has been very uncanny, and being very candor about it is that in my 4 semesters I had 4 houses and 4 flatmates. So that means I literally changed like my house and flatmate every semester. So after the 2 years of journey and 4 times changing the houses from different suburbs, I realized how I should have started my moving company, and I would
Yeah.
have been definitely benefit for it. So jokes apart, but what I realized was it's always better, and in all sense, to live with someone who is not who can be your best friend, who can be your friend, but you know the person, instead of landing yourself with someone who you might know. Sometimes it could be things that the other person do really gets into your nerves. So it's always better to not have all those shocks, and always staying with someone you have a good acquaintance with. And I would not consider it to a person who you really want to stay forever, but it could be anyone that you think you can click on. So what I realized from my 2 years, that I was always going with someone that I had never known before. So it was just one meeting, we realized that we like she can stay with me, and I was like, yes, why not stay with her. And then after 1 semester I realized there were things that I'm not really comfortable being with her.
But yeah.
Plus, talking about different accommodation, I have had private rented house, we have a lot of university managed houses, we have
Yeah.
university domes, we have private halls, we have family estates itself. So there are different types of structure when it comes to international student coming in Australia, and the choice that he has. It all depends on what are your non-compromising arenas, and what is something that you can compromise upon. So I think that's how you can balance both the poles. For me, I thought, for me, what was not compromising was sharing my room. So I realized how with every time I would go for a private room than a shared room, but I was very much comfortable sharing my house, because I would not usually be the person sharing the studios. And with safety, I feel in Australia,
Sorry.
say everything lies in your hands. So I know it might be a little shady in India, but in Australia, that's fine if you're staying with two, three people. But as what you said, as long you know them, it is
Hmm.
always better to take care well in advance. Thinking forward. Think about all the repercussion before you really take that action. So there
Hmm.
is no right or wrong to any scenario. Your experience could be different from mine,
Hmm.
and what I
So the
would
key,
always say is yes,
yeah,
just
sorry,
just follow your instincts, and you
yeah.
know if you're safe or not.
I still think the key takeaways from that point was staying with somebody you know, somebody you trust. And I think another thing that I would like to add on is having those boundaries set up. Like sometimes it's very easy that, to just get your boundaries all mixed up. So like sometimes, if you really want to do an assignment and then sometimes your flatmates really pressure you to let's go out for drinks. So like having that, no, I really have to do it. Like mujhe assignment karna hai. Like that's what I have to focus on. Because sometimes it's very easy to get lost in that as well. So I think that's something you learn over time as well, because in India it's a bit harder to draw those boundaries because you've never lived alone. I mean, some people do, but yeah, that's also one thing I would really like to add on, that having your boundaries
Yes, and I
really
feel
set up.
it's my also my nanny who's watching, and I think she is so much convinced after our conversation that she would be asking her friends to send her grandkids to Australia just because she saw my show. And I feel we are a great person who can convince anyone to come straight to Australia. But saying on that note, yes, we do have a question. I think that's a very important one now that I think of is that I feel we do lack of certain degree of education regarding or knowledge regarding the regulations in Australia related to safety. I think
Mm,
I was fortunate enough to not really think about all it or zone around it, but I really do not think I am very much incognizant with what happens in Australia. Obviously, in India, you have been living there for last 20, 21 years. You have so many people with you. You are living with your parents, so you would not really get into the laws and everything. But coming to Australia, one thing that I would say is if organizations, whether it's about Quickvise, Indian Care, there's so many organizations led and run for international organizations students if they could also run those seminars because safety is the utmost priority, but on saying that I think we really not talk a lot about it, especially
mm,
about women's safety and
mm.
what rights do I behold in a foreign land.
That's very interesting. Yep, I've not really reflected upon that as much. Like I haven't really been in that situation. I did had one experience though when I was living in the share house. I had some issues and I went to Fair Work Ombudsman. I think they help you with these things as well. So it'd be good to have a conversation and maybe come up with a list of organizations and even like Australian organizations like I think even Study Melbourne, even they help you with like free legal support, and have a conversation about that as well. That'd be good too.
Yes, but having said that, I would really, really appreciate and also request all the organization if we
Just
could
to,
have
yeah.
such knowledge upfront so that
Yeah.
more and more people, especially women of our age, are
Mm.
well known of what needs to be done and how things can be taken
What
care
steps
of
can be taken?
so
Yeah.
that yes, so that you're never alone. So like even if you are alone you will never feel like being alone because you're so much empowered, you know what needs to be done, and then that would really make you strong enough for all the situation that comes forward. And we do have one more question. I think that's a very important one, is that the pandemic has exacerbated mental health. What were your key tips towards catering to your social and emotional well-being? Do you want to go for it, Chanvi?
Yeah, sure. So as an international student, I think one thing that I did was I seeked mental health support in university. So university has counseling I think you can get around 8, 12 sessions of counseling. That was for Victoria University. It might differ from different unis. But if you're going through something and if you think that that's mental health support and it's free, then please, you should definitely contact your well-being team at the university. Apart from that, a few things that I try to practice is I try to go for my daily walk as much as I can. Another thing that I try to do is I'm huge on reflections and writing because it helps me think clearly and really communicate and articulate the problems I'm having with myself, because I feel like once you have your problems articulated, you can actually find some solution and seek support, and in whatever form that is. So I do that, and I think Indians are very collectivistic and we like to have a lot of social support. So definitely seek that, because sometimes it's homesickness, sometimes it's really just you just miss your family. So you video call your friends if you can't meet them, and if you have housemates, then have some nice, like chai chats and community, like just sit down and have a chat. um, and I guess for now, yeah, those are my little yes, tips.
Amazing. So what I feel is, if we have actually learned anything from pandemic, is about caring for our mental, physical, and emotional well-being, and that too of not only yourself but of your loved ones. We had a World's Mental Health Day that went just 10 days ago. We had Are You Okay Day that went again another 20 days before. So our health is our wealth, and it is very heartwarming to see different organizations taking a great part on having those helplines, free helplines, so that if you are in need you can talk to them. And having said that, I won't shy away from the fact that I was also one of the person who had seeked mental support, like in terms of, not I would not even consider, but maybe a psychologist support from the university. So every university in Australia have their own department of
Hmm.
well-being for international students, and what they do is you don't have to think twice because everything is free. And what there'll be a skilled expert psychologist, psychiatrist who can really listen to you and provide the guided seek that you're looking forward to it. So the best part about is every university also have student union. So all you need to do is, if you're feeling a shy tad of maybe lonely, or you feel all having exposed to a lot of negative emotions, you should not be taking that forward but take action by meeting or speaking it to someone. So while I was sharing my house and I was sublet, so I did not really know about how subleasing over here is illegal for both the parties. And while I left the house, and when I asked for the bond from my that I thought would be my landlord, but they were just a flatmates who just imposed to be landlords,
Yeah.
so they refused to pay the bond back, and that's how I lost $1,000 in just first second semester of me coming
Oh,
here. And that was a great setback because
yeah.
that was also a time where I was not earning, and I couldn't face my parents losing $1,000 over something that I could have taken care before. Like or should have known that that's how bond works. You should be lodging it to RTBA, but I did not really know any of it, and there was no support whatsoever there. But that gave me into I wouldn't say it would be a mini attack, but it was a very doomsday for me because I felt like I was not even
Great.
financially losing myself, but also emotionally losing myself. I would
Mm-hmm.
be more into self abatement. I would consider myself not a victim, but a culprit to the situation. And I remember how I would not wanted to do it, but I pushed myself, calling the university, seeking for that help. And the very that day, I got a call from the psychologist. We had a 1 hour handsome talk, and ever since then, I feel I must have been very much relieved.
Hmm.
But on that note, so yes, Indian care provides
Yeah.
support
Also,
to South Asian, and I would say of all the cultures, for any assistance. I have seen so many organizations going for it, and what I really love and how it's so heartwarming to see everyone going for the free services.
Yeah.
So everyone, I think, are
I think
realizing the fact that mental health is the it should be coming to the top funnel of your health feed.
I think also organizations like Headspace and
Yeah, headspace, right.
Beyond Blue, they also help adolescents, right, from 18 to 25. So if you're in that age group, I didn't know that I was volunteering in youth organization. I didn't know I could seek support too, because I still lie in that age bracket. So if you need that, just maybe even try contacting those organizations and what type of support. Even they have career health. Even they have these great support for adolescent. And if you lie in that age bracket, then why not? You know.
Hmm, perfect. So what are the three most important things you would like to tell prospective international students, and what should they prepare for?
Do you want to go first? I need
Okay,
one.
so oh yeah, 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 perfect. So what I have been, I think that really helped, or could be the three things, is don't set expectations for yourself. Aim for, just like, instead of creating expectation, create goals. I think that's an easy journey of achieving your subpart goals, rather than having an expectation and falling for it. And what do I want, what do I can suggest more is, um homesickness. So while I came over here, I was very much attached to my parents, and so were they. But I realized how, if you do not cope with homesickness soon, you would be running into a rabbit hole. Like, it would really bite you to the nights too. So it is always good if you take it very positively. Everyone goes through homesickness. So what I did was, I would regularly talk to my parents, and I would try to have, as what you said, self reflection. What I do, I would find my happy place somewhere. So I realized how my happy place could be going to temple or gurdwara, because that's how I might be connected to the vibe of India. So that really helped for me. And what three important things could, uh, I think one more thing that is about mindset. So always carrying a growth mindset really helps you challenge yourself. So the moment you realize how comfortable you are in a situation, try shattering the ceiling. So I think these three things is one thing that, if people would have known, told me before, I think my journey would have been smoother.
Hmm. I think for me, it would be first one is create a social support for yourself that you trust and that you can rely on and that you can be vulnerable with, because you're in a foreign country. It's not like India where you can just catch a rickshaw at 12 a.m. and go and have, if you have something, if you have to go to a hospital as well. So you have to have people who can help you if there is any emergency, any type of support you need, and that requires you to build relationships with people who you trust, friends who you trust, who you can share, because we all have instances where we face difficulties and we need people who we can rely on. Second thing is career growth. And I think for me, I didn't have a direction when I came here, but I had an aim in my mind, and that was to find a place in the community and make a name for myself. And that was my aim. And I worked and day and night to achieve that goal. So I'm not saying everybody should have that type of aim. I'm just saying that have an aim and work towards it. Make sure that you are working towards your aim, and you give your best. And also when you're networking, and also when you're working at McDonald's, working at a cafe doesn't mean you're doing anything less. That these jobs are valued here. So even when you're working in those fields, try to network, try to meet people, have great connection with your employer so that they can write you a reference for your job when you get your full working rights and when you can really work in your field. And the last one was, quite often we forget to take care of our physical health when we come here, and even mental health. So like Anjali touched upon that as well, mental health is important. And we mentioned about going to universities, having these organizations where you can actually go, but physical health as well. You like to play football, find community, find groups that have football. You like to play tennis. Everything is get some time out for yourself every week to maybe go play tennis. You like to go to the gym, do that. You like to go for a run. The great running spots here, hiking, everything. You can do kayaking, you can do hiking, you can do mountain climbing. Follow that, do that, because if you are able to actually stay connected a little bit to yourself, it becomes easier during the tougher time as well. And take care of the physical health. I neglected in the first year, but second, third year, it was easier to get into that habit, and that really helped me have the growth mindset actually, and stay focused and build resilience during times when I actually found it really difficult. So these would be my three takeaways, apart from the ones that we've already actually discussed in the whole chat as well.
Perfect. I'm just looking if we have any other question before we might. Oh, have you reached out for support from any of the cultural competent organization for any kind of support? I think I did. And how proudly I can say that during the pandemic and the moment it hit, there was a
Mm,
certain um, cultural divide in Australia. How the prime minister or even the councils, everyone would be prioritizing their people. And I remember how also listening to Scott Morrison's speech about if like about the vaccination and treatment, that if everything would be given to the citizens and PR first, and if you're not happy with it, you can go back to the country if you want. So that would really be a setback for me, because I really did not see it coming, though things really changed after that, to be very very elucidating clearly. So what happened was, when pandemic hit, there was no support whatsoever. I realized
mm,
how punch hardship was given to people who are citizens, but of foreign passports, they were not able to avail anything. But what I did was, there was this organization as Khalsa organization. So while we were rooting for any financial assistance, I did seek quite a good help from them for my regular grocery runs or errands. And then there was also an organization as Indian Care, where during that time I had also, so they were giving the grocery vouchers during that time, or also they would be giving you those raw fruit veggies that would be delivered to your house. So that was quite a great help. I think more than a help, it was for me a realization that I'm not alone, and all the divide that's coming, you still have organizations or communities that really care for who you are, not that what your passports say about you.
Hmm. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I've actually heard many stories. I didn't really seek help. I just did from food bank in terms of
Oh
grocery that time.
yes, yes.
Yeah, that was really good. But
Right.
yeah, I've heard a lot of friends seeking help, and yeah, there are a lot of organizations that help you, and it's a great way to stay connected to your culture and your community, and especially Indian community, and gives you a sense of home and security.
Yes, yes, totally
Julie,
agree. And
no comments. Yeah.
looking back to any other question, I don't think we are getting. So, since we are to the end of the show, I would say that I know it could be daunting out there, and daunting in terms of uncertainty, daunting about anxiousness, and daunting about how your new experience would look like. But whether you're planning to come or you are already here, I just wanted to let everyone know that they are not alone. There are so many people, there are people, organization, communities that are standing there with the open hearts and arms. So reach out to people, seek new adventures, and learn to the fullest. And slowly you'll get the hang of it, and it will become very easy for you to adjust yourself, or if you have already adjusted, to go throughout it very smoothly. You'll find friends that you can call up as your family, and you will be okay. So everyone take their own time to be okay, so you will be okay at the eventually stage. But trust the process and just be yourself. Like, don't forget who the real you are in the process of getting exposed to the new experiences.
Yeah, I think I'd actually written that in our in our draft. Yeah, I'd written that. See, I know that it is daunting to be out there, whether you're planning to come or you are already here. I want you guys to know that you're not alone. Reach out to people, seek new adventures, and learn. Slowly, you will get the hang of it, and it will become easier. You will find friends who you would call family, and you will be okay. And trust the process and yourself, and take those opportunities that you're afraid to take, because those are the ones that actually build your resilience and they build self-confidence. And thank you so much for watching and listening tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. See you next month.